Daily trading recap. It is Thursday, the 20th of January, 2022. Again, really no trades for me on the real side with my cash account or margin account. And not even really anything hard paper-wise that I was doing today either. Just getting other projects done, getting away from the computer. And it's just that constant market adaptation of understanding it's never going to be ideally how I wanted to see it. And my perspective is never what the market's going to respect or follow along. What does it care what I think of? It's just going to be a constant adaptation. And here's another day to prove that okay, well, there are those times of, okay, there's time to go long, time to go short, time to go fishing, the Jesse Livermore quote, but then also times of, okay, well, it's still, especially for where I'm at in my trading career, of, okay, well, what other experimentation opportunities are out there? Should we start playing SPY again for these hard red days that it's starting to have? Is this going to be a harder red day trend, or not even red day trend, but pullback trend here as we break in further below this 450 potential line of support there that we could have seen some bounce off of, but broke through that pretty hard today. Should we see any amount of bounce or wiggliness, halting before, not halting is the right word, but just hesitance for it to just keep diving off as hard as it is, or we start to trend closer back to 460, 470, that'll be an interesting watch to be a part of. And yeah, maybe I should start playing around again with those options, playing that on SPY. I didn't like to do that a lot because I felt it was distracting me from even the experimentation I wanted to do on the small cappers and even the OTCs that I was being a part of. But even for this, it's kind of expanding myself. There's really, even though I am doing paper, because I am on the paper side so much too, let's do more paper. We got to do something to just continue to keep ourselves involved and get ready for when should that time ever come again, that it's just so hot, blow your socks off, that it's just like, how can you not make money every single day? Using these times to prepare for that and just understand and go through the motions, put the time in, pay your dues during these days, and just continue to grind every single opportunity we have. That was overall market. Let's do some dollar volume for the day as of 7 minutes after the close here. NASDAQ, $230 billion volume. Nicely, $330 billion volume. OTC's $2.4 billion volume on the day. I'm just going to keep this video nice and quick and short again for no real tickers that I was trading and kind of eyeing some things. I'll start with MRKR, marker. Very nice and beautiful pattern that shoulda, coulda, woulda been a part of. For this is my first green day short, I call it, but it's more of an overnight news catalyst that comes out pretty much right after the close of the previous trading day. Does whatever it wants to do, pulls back closely to VWAP after that initial news spike, and then kind of just does whatever on the lackluster volume and weirdness that is after hours and pre-markets. Then just continues to die off and put in a hard slope. And this one was even a harder of a sell-off for market hours, which was crazy to see. But lots of dojis and inconsistent volume there. It'll be interesting to see what the volume was actually on this one today. Pull that quick 7 million volume that we were showing today on this one, but in a very nice price action chart pattern that is very repeatable. American Biotech, 60 to 70 million float. News catalyst yesterday was FDA orphan drug designation for their pancreatic cancer thing. They do have a few warrants out from 2018, little ATM from 2021, good sized shelf from August of 2021 as well. So maybe that had a little factor in it today, but very nice and beautiful downtrending daily on this one. Good trend to see on that one. So there's still patterns recognizable to me, or for what my playbook is and how I'm continuing to define and evolve that. But it's just about identifying it and feeling confident enough when they don't necessarily show themselves as often, or they don't present themselves as beautifully. As I'll go into like LAZR here, which was a good no trade on this one for me, for what this first day play was. Super, like, real company, super huge float, 4.7 billion market cap, just kind of blah daily, whatever that is. But news catalyst today, they've got a partnership with Mercedes. It's an American vehicle technology company, like huge float, 230 million float. It's a real company. It was just that, okay, they've got that news catalyst that comes out, huge spike, and resembles pretty close to what I want to be seeing for that morning dump setup of, okay, if price is now failing to maintain VWAP. Okay, geez, we're getting a pretty nice pull off from there. And I mean, it's only 16%-ish for whatever it was for this initial spike. So it wasn't, on that case alone, that it was a huge real company. That was a check mark against it that I don't feel so confident in it. It's not the biggest percentage move to be able to play any downside, even if it doesn't just completely die off as a full sentiment for pre-market and market hours. If it was a bigger percentage move up, well, then I can still kind of get out or scalp my way out of 10%, 15%, even if it does have a pullback of a view out there, even if it does reclaim and do whatever craziness it wants the rest of the day. So that was another check mark against it, and it was pretty easy to borrow shares, of course, because of the huge float. Check against it for that. So I can't force these types of trades anymore, and I've got to be holding on to the CELUs or CELU. That was on Tuesday. Yeah, I believe that was on Tuesday. For those types of charts, absolutely going hard and slam dunking on those and just waiting patiently for those, but not trying to force any of those types of charts out of similar charts like these ones where, even sitting through this as it's starting to pull back and drop off pretty nicely, I'm going, okay, it's nice and I can see what you're doing and I could have been a part of you, but it's like having the trigger on that animal of like, I'm in control of your life right now, but it's just not going to happen. And seeing it still fall off and then going, okay, it's kind of far away to go as of yet. And sure enough, it does reclaim to view pretty nicely right after that little bounce, just kind of sideways action into market hours and little rise, little climb right into that afternoon session. But then huge reversal, big V back down pretty much to opening price at the close here. Just interesting charts on these ones and how to go about playing them or what type of trader I want to be on for what these charts are representing for the sentiment of this market in general, because that's what I really go off of a lot is, okay, what are these first green day plays doing in general? What are the high probability of these charts doing? Okay, they're dying off. They're closing far below 10% below where they opened. Okay, I can work with that. I can play with that sentiment. Versus now it's like, okay, well, some of these charts do this and the probability isn't really there for what's recently been showing. And it's never going to be black and white. Of course, I know that. But just even as they go so much into these blurred lines, it becomes harder for me when great cases or great charts end up showing themselves for what fits my style of playbook trades. That ends up being like, oh my gosh, I see you and identify you, but can I even pull the trigger at this point? For what I feel, because it's got to have the overall sentiment there and the repeatability, the pattern to be showing that trade as a potential. It's constant evolution and growing and understanding how stock market likes to work, and it's never going to be 100%, and it is always going to be those blurred lines, and being more comfortable and accustomed to that is this was certainly a day for growing in that regard. APM, another ticker that I want to mention, another first day play, just kind of weird price action, just didn't want to be a part of it whatsoever for this pre-market of how it was showing. Chris had a nice little dip and rip trade off of it. He's been nailing those ones, but even at that, it's just like, okay, sweet. Yeah, and he was even mentioning of, yeah, he got a nice little just under 10%, but just to hold it for just through this choppiness and what it was showing, just tough and not fun to be a part of. It's not like this stock market is meant to be fun, but it's just trying to squeeze out a few cents in the numbingness of the brain that you have to go through in order to do that. Is it really worth it? But both LAZR or APM, I'll go over first, just fundamentals, just for reference. British pharmaceutical company, 8 million float. The same thing, FDA orphan drug designation as MRKR. They got a little sprinkling in of all the good stuff, dilution, ATM, warrants, shelf, all that fun stuff. Daily looking atrocious, nice and downtrending there. These are the ones, APM and LAZR, I'll definitely be looking at going into or playing off of that little first green day overnight into second green day or second day short. Save myself a little day trade on that as a type of pattern, but I feel that's been the sentiment of if they're holding pretty nicely and that after that first green day, or even if they're closing a little above VWAP or a little below VWAP, they really just have nothing going for them in that after hours following that day or even the second day pre-market. So playing off of that sentiment, and the one from today of VVOS was the chart I was thinking of for the second day play today of not the most beautiful and awesome percentage move, but repeatable and predictable trade pattern of getting anywhere around that 2-3 points coming into today as it's looking weak, getting anywhere around 2-1. Okay, that's decent. That's a nice little move there of BBI, a third day play, a similar thing that it just, that even after that little harder pull on that second day, there's still plenty of downside left on that third day for just even looking at this as a hold overnight to trade this from a little position of power for any kind of weakness. And even though it's holding here, trying to retest that 30-cent area, 30-cent area, still sitting from a position of power as it's holding and trending on that second day and trading into a nice little sell-off still on this third day. I just feel what the sentiment has been for these style trades and the charts that I do have and being able to use that data for these style trades. That's really where I find my gear and niche for these trades of, hey, I'm taking this trade because here's the proof, the probability of them working out, that 9 out of 10 times these charts have done this, and I'm playing based solely off of that, and can define the risk profiles and parameters based on the individual charts themselves, but really hold myself accountable to, okay, this is the hit rate of this style of trade for right now, going off of that. Lastly, got to mention DWAC, of course. So still not that one, DWAC. Still holding that one golden share. I don't think this chart is over. Harder sell-off day yesterday, bouncing pretty nicely off that 77, 78-ish dollar level, which if it was going to break through there, testing 77, 76, I definitely was going to be cutting that. I was going to think the downside was going to be in. I don't think the trade would have been, the trade I would have wanted to see, or the chart I wanted to see, wouldn't have gone that far down in order for it to go back up to the 100 plus that I would have wanted to see it. But the fact that it was holding pretty nicely going into the afternoon session, but a little bit sell-off, and now under VWAP here into the close. Okay, now it's in that range of, is it actually holding with strength? You know, if it held above VWAP into the close here, even if it was still dilly-dallying and not showing any really signs of strength, I could have seen it escalating a lot more and quicker, with shorts still wanting to pile in on this thing and thinking they're getting in at an awesome price, and then this thing ends up just skipping hugely, bigly against them, whether in these after hours today or pre-market tomorrow or in the market hours tomorrow. Gosh, yeah, but it's just in this little range of, it's holding above what pretty much everybody in every long is going to use as an obvious risk level there of, okay, well, is it, and now it's still under VWAP of, are we going to trend sideways? Is it going to need more consolidation to put in any higher moves here? But even just looking at the volume and the daily chart too, I just don't think it's done as of yet. So this is truly, with this one share, I know I mentioned with the past trading days on this ticker that this one share trade isn't about how much money I'm making on this individual trade. It's about the neural process I'm defining with what I know is going to be bigger position trades on these style of swings with these crazy former runners to style of trades in the future. And I know I would have been taken off into the $90 price levels on those previous days and taking out, scaling off along the way, but still holding on those few little lottery shares. And I think this exercise for me is definitely training me and helping me understand, because I'm being able to sit from this with such a position of power, of being able to just be completely disassociated with any emotion or P&L side of it. Not even just because it's one share, but just because of my position where I'm sitting, to understand, okay, well, we had a hard sell-off day, and being able to sit through that day yesterday and just taking that in, swallowing that pill and saying, I still believe the chart is there. And coming into today of, okay, it's holding up for risk level here. It's not looking the greatest, but the trade is not done yet. And just holding on to that belief and going off of that, I believe that's a key exercise, and I'm glad to be able to have this experience on this chart. And we will see. It's going to be an interesting one, what the next few days start to hold. Tomorrow is Friday, right? So Friday will be interesting if that squeeze wants to come tomorrow at the end of the week here, or if it does have any type of squeeze at all, or if it sells off. That will be one for the journal, one for the notebooks, one for the cranium in the future over the rest of this trading career. But that is really all that I had. Nothing hard again popping up for me on the scanners that I'm really convicted of. We'll continue to do some more scans here later tonight, more prep work as well. But gosh, yeah, it's going to become continually evolving and experimenting of things outside really my comfort zone, or, well, okay, I don't really want to be, doing this little scalping mentality or whatever, fill in the blank there. But okay, let's go do it. We had the time and the opportunity to do so. So why would we not do so is the point of view that I take on that one. But that is all I had. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.